Happening now, breaking news, deadly school shooting, fear and chaos at a high school near Seattle as a gunman opens fire, sending hundreds fleeing. There are casualties. We have the latest details. Ebola in New York City. A doctor is in isolation after testing positive for the deadly virus. His fiancée and friends are under quarantine. Urgent efforts are now underway to trace other contacts. Hatchet terror attack. A man swinging a blade wounds 2 police officers before others shoot him dead. Why police now say it was an act of a self-radicalized extremist. Remains identified. Forensic tests show the remains found in rural Virginia are, in fact, those of the missing student, Hannah Graham. I'm Wolf Blitzer. You're in the Situation Room.
This is CNN Breaking News.
And we're following multiple breaking stories this hour. Hundreds of students running in fear from a school under siege. This time in Marysville, Washington State, north of Seattle. A shooter opening fire in a high school cafeteria there, killing 1 person and wounding others before turning the gun on himself. We have new information coming into the Situation Room right now. We're following the Ebola scare in America's biggest city. A doctor who tested positive for the deadly disease is now in isolation in a New York City hospital. His fiancée and 2 friends are quarantined, and a medical SWAT team is deployed amid urgent efforts to track down his possible contacts. Our correspondents and analysts and newsmakers, they're all standing by with full coverage. Let's begin with the latest on the school shooting. CNN's Tom Foreman is standing by with that. Tom?
Hi, Wolf. We're piecing together all of this information as well as we can at this hour. It's what's happened at the school. Here's what we're being told about the alleged gunman by students and eyewitnesses. Jalen Freiberg was a freshman, a football player, and part of the homecoming court. He was a Native American. Classmates say he was into hunting, he was friendly, and he was popular. And this is what we know at this point about the timeline of what happened. Shortly after 10:30 a.m., as students gathered in the cafeteria for lunch, one witness says a young man rose from a table, pulled a small pistol from his pocket, and began firing.
I saw 3 kids just fall from the table, like they were falling to the ground dead. I jumped under the table as fast as I could, and when it stopped, I looked back up, and I saw he was trying to reload his gun, and when that happened, I just ran in the opposite direction, and I was out of there as fast as I could.
That witness said he knew the young man, and he looked calm, with a blank stare throughout. Students scattered. Many in the rest of the building say they thought a fire drill was underway, and many ran outside. In the hallways, teachers started herding others into classrooms and ordering a lockdown. At some point, someone inside placed a 911 call, and by 10:40, police were swarming the building, going room to room, placing tape over the doors of those they'd secured so they'd know they'd already been checked. And in that process, they discovered the alleged gunman, by noon officially saying he was dead, apparently having shot himself. Officials appear confident that there was only one gunman, but at this hour they continue going through this school room by room by room, checking to make sure that everyone is accounted for, and experience tells us, Wolf, that that process will go on for many hours before they're confident that everyone is out and everyone is secured.
Well, that's simply out of a matter of just being overly cautious.
It's what they have to do. You have a big school like this, and this is a large school by the standards of any city in this country. There are a lot of rooms, a lot of area on the campus. They have to look for evidence. They have to look for people who may still be hiding. That's been known to happen for hours because people are terrified by this. And, of course, to see if anybody else might have been hurt somewhere that they're just unaware of.
Well, it's just a smart thing to do. Tom Foreman, thanks very much. We're also getting more information on the deadly school shooting. Let's bring in our justice reporter, Evan Perez. What are you learning, Evan?
Well, Wolf, we know that the authorities now are trying to trace the handgun that was recovered at the scene and that was believed used by the shooter. It's a .40 caliber Beretta handgun, and the ATF is now doing a trace to try to determine where he got this from. Now, this is an area where a lot of people have guns, so it's not clear whether he needed to go anywhere other than perhaps his own home to get this firearm. But we know from witnesses that he just came into this cafeteria and sat there for a little while and then started shooting, some of them his own friends, Wolf.
And I take it this is a situation where FBI federal officials, they are being brought in for assistance in dealing with this kind of a crime?
That's right, Wolf. I mean, they have a lot of experience on these types of shootings. The FBI is there to try to help with some of the behavioral analysis, to try to look at some of the social media postings of this young man. We know from looking at some of the postings that he seemed to be very upset in the last few weeks, perhaps about his girlfriend. He seemed to be upset with some of his own friends. So there's something that was that appeared to be triggering this, perhaps was building for some weeks, and that's something that the FBI will definitely be focusing on to try to see if there's anything they can learn to try to prevent these types of things from happening again.
Which is also smart. Thanks very much, Evan Perez, joining us. Joining us on the phone right now, Sergeant Ryan Dahlberg. He's a spokesman for the Everett, Washington Police. Sergeant, thanks very much for joining us. Let's just review some of the facts as we know them right now, and I know maybe this is still a fluid situation. First of all, how many people were shot?
I'm sorry, you cut out on me there, Wolf.
Yeah, Sergeant, how many people were shot?
We can confirm 6 injured, 2 of those being deceased, and the other 4 injured.
And one of the deceased being the shooter himself?
Correct.
And we have confirmed this is a freshman, Jalen Freiberg. Is that right?
I don't have official confirmation on the shooter's identity. That's coming through social media.
Do we know if all of those who were shot, one student shot allegedly by Freiberg and killed 4 others injured, they were all students, right?
No, I can't confirm whether a teacher was shot or not. I don't know.
All right. Do you know if they were shot at random or was this a deliberate, or were they targeted?
I don't know if anybody was specifically targeted or if it was random. We're still trying to piece all those details together.
And what can you tell us, without mentioning his name, since you obviously don't want to mention his name, because we're getting all sorts of information about the shooter, a homecoming king, if you will. He was active on the football team, a Native American. Can you tell us anything about him, about a possible motive, for example?
No, unfortunately, right now, I do not know a motive. We're trying to piece that together. He is a active student, or was an active student at Marysville-Pilchuck High School, and at this point, we're still searching for a motive ourselves. And
you can't confirm that the shooter put the gun to his head and killed himself?
I cannot confirm that. I don't know.
You don't know? Is it possible somebody else killed him? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know, sir. I have not received any of those type of details one way or the other. We're
getting some pictures in from the school. Police are still going in there. What is going on there now? Is there an active search possibly for someone else?
Yes. Basically, a back search is standard procedure. Our initial teams will go in, and if there is a threat, they'll address that threat, and then once that's taken care of, then they'll move to escorting any injured people out of the building. Once that's completed, our teams will go back slow and methodical and do a very, very thorough and careful search just to make sure that the building is safe.
And to make sure that no one is, out of fear, still hiding there in a closet or in a room someplace, right?
That's correct, sir.
And this is being done out of an abundance of caution, as they say.
Correct. You're correct.
There's no hard evidence that there may be someone at large, another shooter or another suspect at large, right?
That's correct. Yeah, we take all precautions we can to make sure everyone is safe.
And let me get back to the motive for a second. I assume you're going through social media, the comments by this alleged shooter. Can you share anything with us on that?
What I can share is that our Snohomish County Mutual Investigative Team is on board. They've been called in. That's a team of special investigators that will be conducting those types of inquiries. And it's a team that all agencies in this area put together or contribute to, and they have specialized training in homicide and serious event investigations.
We're told by sources that federal law enforcement is now tracing a Beretta 40 caliber handgun. Is that the weapon that was used?
I don't have any information on what type of firearm was used in this incident. I'm sorry.
And you have no idea where the shooter got the gun?
And none at all, sorry.
What is there anything else you could share with our viewers, Sergeant Dahlberg?
Not at this point. I know Commander Lamoureux is going to be doing an additional press conference probably in about 20 minutes, and hopefully he'll be able to add a little bit more from there. He was just up at the scene, I don't know, about 20 minutes ago or so ago. So he'll be addressing the media at about, 1:30 our time.
It'd be 2:30 your time. That would be 5:30 here on the East Coast in about 20 minutes or so from now.
Yes.
Okay, Sergeant Ryan Dahlberg with the Everett Police. We'll stay in close touch with you. We'll, of course, cover the news conference with the police chief at the bottom of the hour. Tom Fuentes is here with us, former FBI Assistant Director, our CNN law enforcement analyst. What do you make of what's going on right now?
Well, it's another one of these mysteries, really. What was going on in his head to make him decide to go to that school? These type of issues in somebody's brain usually brew for a while, and then each thing that they think they were wronged or disrespected adds on top of another, and finally they decide to take action. Obviously, he planned this. He brought the weapon hidden in a backpack to school, walked around the school all day, and from what earlier witnesses said, it sounded like at the cafeteria, he went specifically to the people that he initially shot, went up to them from behind, shot each of them in the back or the back of the head, as if he had been stalking them. And they were identified as friends of his. So we don't know what he was thinking or why or what kind of delusion he had as far as what people thought of him or what they were doing to him to cause him to believe that he had to take this action against them.
And so based on these initial, and let's repeat the word initial, eyewitness accounts, because this could change, he didn't just randomly start shooting at some people. He deliberately targeted individuals.
Yeah, this is from someone who knew him, said he knew that these individuals were friends of his. He knew them to be close to him, and that it appeared to him that when he came into that cafeteria, he went to the victims, picked them out, and shot them, that it wasn't just that he was wildly shooting at anybody that went by.
Yeah, it's a very weird story, because normally in a situation like this, the shooter is disgruntled, angry, no friends, loner, all that kind of stuff. In this particular case, this individual is described as someone who is popular, football player, homecoming king, freshman, and all of a sudden this happens. We're going to get some more information. I want you to stand by. Tom Fuentes, we're going to hear from a witness, an account of the deadly school shooting just north of Seattle, Washington. Also speak with the Washington Congressman Jim McDermott. Plus, the Ebola scare in New York City. A doctor is now in isolation after testing positive. His fiancée and two friends are in quarantine. Authorities are now scrambling to locate others he may have contacted.